Here's more wrestling news for October 12th, 2022. And we're starting off with AEW, which has had its fair share of problems in recent months, including huge backstage fights, suspensions, and injuries, but not everything is bad news. Tonight's edition of Dynamite will take place in Toronto, marking AEW's debut in Canada, and that's a fact that Tony Khan takes great pride in. Speaking to the Toronto Star, Khan spoke about AEW's impending arrival north of the border and said how WWE finally has some competition in Canada. For AEW and for wrestling fans, this debut in Toronto is a huge milestone. WWE has run shows in Toronto and through Canada for decades, but there has not been a challenge or a promotion with the level of international TV penetration that AEW has, with our great roster of wrestlers, our unmatched financial resources, and our international television partnerships in 2 decades. If you don't include Impact Wrestling's work in Canada, the last big non-WWE event in the Great White North would be the WCW Mayhem 1999 pay-per-view, which saw Canadians Bret Hart and Chris Benoit face off for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. With the AEW All-Atlantic title and ROH World titles to be defended tonight, Khan is putting on a huge show for the company's Canadian debut, in what many expect to be a historic night for the promotion. Last week, AEW announced that Jon Moxley had signed a new 5-year deal with the company, some much-needed good news for Tony Khan. Moxley has been with AEW since 2019 and has become arguably their biggest star, and after the CM Punk controversy, has proven to be someone Khan can rely on. Now Moxley is with AEW for the long haul, but that wasn't always the plan. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer reported that the restrictions on Moxley as part of his new deal left the wrestler contemplating not re-signing, but instead just working as a free agent. Moxley's new deal with AEW means his appearances outside the company will be severely limited and will be on a surprise basis, presumably meaning other promotions can't advertise him for shows. In the end, Moxley chose to re-sign with AEW, but there was a time when Tony Khan nearly lost out on his own reigning world champion. A few months ago, before Vince McMahon's retirement, there were reports of Monday Night Raw becoming a TV-14 show. The July 18th Raw, which was the final show of the McMahon era, was supposed to kick off the TV-14 rating, but that never transpired. Instead, Raw has remained a PG-rated show, and now we're learning more about what happened. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian Alvarez explained how one reason WWE wants to go TV-14 is so that they can stop editing chants. Honestly, one of the reasons that they wanted to go TV-14 was because they were sick of having to edit out these chants. Chants like "holy shit" and "you f***ed up" are common in wrestling, and got so loud during the NXT Heatwave event in August that WWE had to edit them out. Speaking recently about a possible ratings change, Eric Bischoff made it clear he's all for it, saying, "You bore the shit out of me with your backstage promos and your stand-up mic segments. There's just nothing happening in those segments. There's no narrative most of the time in those segments that do anything other than disengage me. That's true in WWE, it's true in AEW. Some of the people that are doing stand-up promos should not be doing them. I would use that. I'd make my non-wrestling segments. I'd find a way to make them more interesting." Bischoff isn't alone in this view, as The Undertaker has said it would take the handcuffs off many superstars who would benefit from edgier content. The TV-14 change didn't take place this July, but the latest reports confirm that the move will happen in January 2023. Andrew Zarian reports that the advertisers for Raw were very worried about how things were going to change after McMahon announced his retirement, and WWE decided the last thing they needed at the time was a change in rating. Now that things have settled down, a ratings change is far less of a gambit, so expect the change to finally come into effect next January. When Aliyah joined WWE's main roster, it didn't take her long to win championship gold, as she and Raquel Rodriguez captured the WWE Women's Tag Team titles just a few weeks ago. After a 2-week-long reign, though, their reign ended at the hands of Damage Control, and Rodriguez has since been teaming with Shotzi Blackheart. It was previously rumored that Aliyah was out with an injury, and on social media, she confirmed that this is the case. On Instagram, Aliyah posted the bruising in her shoulder, adding that she did get injured during her most recent match against Damage Control, but found the will to keep going. Not only is Aliyah dealing with an injured shoulder, but she added that she's suffering from an elevated first rib and an ACL sprain as well. With multiple injuries to her name, there's no word on when Aliyah will be back in the ring, but we're wishing her a very speedy recovery. Now, Alexa Bliss has been a fixture of WWE programming for years, but recently the goddess showed off her skills in a completely different way. In the most recent video from the popular Dude Perfect YouTube channel, Bliss makes an appearance, appearing as a bridezilla for their video about wedding cliches. This isn't the first time Bliss has shown off her acting chops, as she appeared for the show Punky Brewster in 2021 as herself, so we can't count out the former women's champion being the next superstar to join John Cena, The Rock, and Batista on the silver screen. Bronson Reed was released by WWE last year in a move that certainly shocked fans. His release was unexpected because he was promoted to a regular in NXT and worked dark matches on the main roster in hopes that he would be called up before leaving. Reed was let go because the company believed he simply didn't fit the new vision of NXT. During his WWE tenure, he was NXT's North American champion, but not for a long time. Reed previously revealed that WWE told him to smile more. Following his WWE release, Bronson Reed changed his name to Jonah and has been tearing it up in the independent circuit and has been a bona fide star in New Japan Pro Wrestling, tearing through the ranks and facing the biggest talent. Recently, Okada defeated Jonah in a rematch at NJPW Declaration of Power in the co-main event of the show. They did a handshake at the end amidst rumors that Jonah was leaving NJPW. This could eventually be a reality, as while speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that Jonah and Triple H met a month ago and that a deal was eventually made. The report suggests that Jonah wanted some time off before joining WWE, and as of this writing, Jonah's tentative first day back in WWE is December 14th. Are you looking forward to Reed's WWE comeback? Let us know in the comments. For weeks, the Judgment Day has been a thorn in the side of AJ Styles, giving him beatdowns while trying to recruit the Phenomenal One. On Raw, it looked like Styles had given in and joined the group, but this was just a ruse, and instead, Styles brought back Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson to side with him. Styles, Gallows, Anderson, and Finn Balor were all once part of the Bullet Club, and when speaking to the New York Post, Finn said how there's an unspoken rivalry between them. I feel like me and AJ have a big story to tell and a lot to prove to each other as well. I feel like we have an unspoken competitive rivalry, and I feel like that needs to be addressed in the ring. I respect everything that AJ's done in his career. I'm very excited that the opportunity of the next couple of months could lead. Styles and Balor have faced off before at the TLC 2017 event, but that match only came about because AJ replaced Bray Wyatt, Finn's original opponent, who came down with an injury. That match was great, but did not happen under the best of circumstances, and all these years later, Balor is ready to get the match he wants from the former WWE champion. On this week's Raw, the Good Brothers made their return to WWE, coming to the aid of AJ Styles in his war with the Judgment Day. Fans at Raw were thrilled to see the return of Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson, but in the latter's case, WWE won't be the only place to see him. Right now, Karl Anderson is the reigning never openweight champion, and before his return, New Japan promoted that he will be at their Battle Autumn event on November 5th. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer reported that Anderson's title defense against Hikuleo is still on. Later on, New Japan updated their match card for Battle Autumn, and despite Anderson's return, he is still set to appear in November. In the old era of WWE, the idea of any superstar appearing for another company was unheard of, but perhaps Anderson will be a sign of things to come for future talent. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows are just the latest names to appear on WWE TV, but they're not the only Impact Wrestling alum on Triple H's radar. Last week, it was reported that several Impact Wrestling stars have finished with the company, and Matt Taven could be WWE bound. On his show, Meltzer explained how WWE is interested in Taven, and given the fact that he's a former ROH World Champion, it's not hard to see why. While WWE is interested in Taven, Meltzer added that he's not heard anything from AEW, but Tony Khan could make a play for he, Mike Bennett, and Maria Kanellis-Bennett to join ROH. Whatever the case, the future is looking bright for Matt Taven, and time will tell if Triple H can score a deal to bring him to WWE. And we're ending today with Mark Carrano, who worked as WWE's Senior Director of Talent Relations for years until his own release from the company in April last year. Carrano was fired for his role in the Mickie James trash bag incident, where the former superstar's effects post-release were sent in a garbage bag, but there may be more to Carrano's release. Speaking on the House of Hardcore podcast, Tommy Dreamer recalled getting a late-night phone call to ask about the roster that Mark was supposed to know all about. I didn't even work at WWE and Mark Carrano called me up. It was this whole, who the is Bobby Fish? I was like, Bobby's a great guy, I know him well. Shout out to the stooge Mark Carrano. Top stooge. Since his firing from WWE, Carrano hasn't appeared for any other promotion, which at least means he's had plenty of time to learn about the wrestlers working both in and out of WWE. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.